Welcome, welcome, welcome to Factorio. Or against my better judgment, I've decided to stream Space Age. I'm gonna keep all the settings exactly the way they normally are, for the most part. I do have a mod, it's the item count mod, so it won't really make much of a difference as far as everything goes. Not really changing anything. Normally, I used to change a lot of stuff in these settings, but since Space Age came out, I just don't see the point. The thing I really care about is just kind of seeing where we're at as far as what I'm going to get it for start. And this is actually not too bad. This is pretty good. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. Quick and painless, dirty. Let's go. All right. Don't care about that. Let's turn on Alt. All right. We got some stuff. Don't have enough gears. I can always do this. Always. Yeah, I used to put a lot of mods into this game. A lot. And I kind of don't see the point anymore. Just because just a lot of the base stuff is just really good. Just don't see why we would do that. Okay, let me put this down here. And I need to get a stone furnace, but while we wait for the stone furnace, let's make some gears. The only thing that sucks is that is up there. But we do have some coal rocks. And obviously this is not a speed run. Am I already getting attacked? This is not a speed run. I'm not a speedrunner. I'm terrible when it comes to doing stuff quickly in this game. So, yeah, that won't be happening. Let's make some of these. Make another one. Is that a worm or a base? What is that? Hold on, I'm gonna explore. Still doing this in ultra wide. I'm sorry if you don't have. Where the hell is he? Dude, I can't see him. Oh, there's. I think it's a worm. I'm having a hard time spotting him. Oh. So we're gonna have to be going out very early to attack, it would seem. I also haven't played in a while. Basically since Space Age released, pretty much. So I'm a little rusty. Some walking room here. Let's go ahead and dig some coal. But our first big thing we're gonna do is try to make it to Vulcanus quickly. We will strive for Vulcanus. All right. And now do that, get that started, and then find some more stones. Forgot about that, but that's how that works now. I've played almost 1,000 hours of this game before Space Age came out, so some of my other way of thinking is still ingrained in my mind. not used to the design process behind this. I used to use far reach. I used to use, there's a lot of, the one thing that I might do, depending on how this first episode looks, is adding the more light mod. Just because that might be something that we need to worry about. Because I'm streaming, I'm recording. Let's do. No, I'm not doing anything in there. Okay. So, if you're looking for best player in the game, not me. I'm terrible at this game. Just as an FYI. I used to use the rail settings too, and they've changed some of how that works now, and it's not. I don't know. It just doesn't make as much of a difference, especially since I'm trying to get to Vulcanus as soon as possible. Because while Vulcanus, you don't get a lot of oil. Every other material, for the most part, is super easy to get your hands on, so... Alright, let's do our 2 coppers. Let's do our 2 coal. Come on. There you go. And we're going to do 2 copper. And... Alright, let's get that started. Alright, how am I going to do this power? Pull here. Go north. And then we'll split off for manufacturing and then for power. Okay, cool. Here are those. 1 and 1 and 1. Just make one of these. Oops, I did that wrong. Okay, that should technically, I think, give me enough for automation. Let's see. It does. That electric mining. Oh, you have to, that's right, you have to research this now. Thought about that. Okay, I need 1 underground pipe. Then we will go. Let's try to do as far as I can. Come on. Come on. That was... Yeah. Set up my... Okay. One of these. Put some of that in that. There. Do that. Put that in there. And now we're golden. I'm gonna go ahead and do this. Box there. We'll do that. Okay. So that's kind of science provisionally automated. Let's see where pollution is. It's already starting to hit this. I need to know whether that's a worm or what. So I'm going to set this up and we're going to go down there and just walk down there and see what it does. I'm already exhausted. Walk down there and see if I get spat at. Find out whether or not it's a worm. So, yeah, it's a worm. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. So, normally I try to make like semi-educational stuff when I'm doing this kind of Factorio. I don't consider myself an expert, but I'll still do that. So, very quick and dirty. First spawned in, went and grabbed that metal that was inside my crash ship. And then I started putting some of the stuff down. These are burner miners. These are stone furnaces. When you first spawn in, the first thing you want to do is hit Alt. It's going to give you all these little arrows and all the information of what's inside everything. It's the very first thing you want to be doing. That way you know the directions of everything and you know what's in everything. It's kind of the standard. Hit Alt Z by accident. It's kind of the standard that you want to follow. Also, when you're trying to ask for help, people are going to be like, hey, I can't see what it is that you're doing. Please hit the Alt key. That way I can see what's going on. Okay? That's first. Second of all, as you do certain aspects of the game, you're going to get certain things unlocked by standard. Like, for example, oil. I think it's oil. Let's just see some of the ones we've already unlocked. So, this right here, electronics. Electronics unlocked by crafting 10 copper plates. So, set it up, smelted the copper plates, that automatically unlocked electronics, right? Whereas some other stuff, you need to make science. And science is these beakers, right? So science, when you go ahead and search, there's all these types of different sciences. So the basic science is going to be your automation science pack, is the very first one you start with. Most people just call it red science. Most people that have been playing this for a long time. Red science unlocks from having steam power and electronics together. That gives you the red science, okay? And red science you're going to need for most of your basic starting stuff. So being able to automate things, being able to put things on belts, being able to make electric mining drills. Most of your basic sciences or basic research is going to come with automatic science packs. And automation science packs, all they are, is, if you mouse over here, copper and an iron gear wheel. One copper, one iron gear wheel, that gives you an automatic science pack. As time goes on and you start researching more and more science packs, they're going to get more complicated. So the logistics or the green science pack, that's going to need a transport belt and an inserter. And what is an inserter? Inserter is the other part of the logistics of this game. So you got belts, you got inserters. Inserters will take things from one area, we'll put them into another. That is either off a belt or off a box or off a machine, and they will put it onto a belt or onto a box or onto another machine, any of that stuff. So it's kind of your basic is you put it on a belt. The way you put it on a belt is with an inserter or by direct, quote unquote, direct inserting, which is a machine into something else. Not everything can direct insert, only certain things can direct insert. So for example, and direct insert is kind of a different concept, but so these machines automatically output, and you could output them directly into here. The same thing with these guys, which, that's pretty basic because it's the same setup, but this setup looks different. And that's because I can output the coal that I'm mining into the input of this machine. That's what this is, the input. And so you can make this feedback loop where this will automatically mine your coal. And that way you don't have to be running back and forth and adding materials into it. Right? We're going to do that. go ahead and while I'm not an expert in this game, which some of you might say, oh, you're not an expert, you've played for 1,000 hours. Well, if you know anything about this game, 1,000 hours is basically nothing. Those are rookie numbers. The Wolf of Wall Street, the Wolf of Wall Street meme comes to mind. Okay, so we're going to make science packs here. They're going to be under the intermediates. What do I need? I need gears. I need copper plates. I'm going to make another one of these assembly machines, which I'm starting to run out of the stuff that I need to. Get a little bit of a different color, huh? Yep. And then we're going to insert those science packs into here, okay? Very basic automation. I want to make another basic automation. And that is the gears. And we're going to go here, intermediate product gears. I'm going to take another one of these inserters. Boom, and boom. There you go. Now you got yourself some basic automation. So you've added a bunch of copper plates into the input. This thing is making your gear so you don't have to. It's going to all end up in here, and that's going to start building up your science. So when you look at science, you look, logistics already has some progress to it. Yep. Let's go ahead and go down here and deal with some more of this. I need to automate stone because I need more boilers for both power making and for smelting. And I call them boilers or smelters. Boilers are this thing. All right, so I need these stone furnaces. Now, there was a new addition to this game, and I don't know if this is an exclusively Space Age thing. I seriously doubt it, because it's a very good quality of life update. But if you ever have a situation where, let me see, where is it? Not in tips and tricks. The Factoriopedia, right here. So Alt left click. It'll give you more information on what it is that you're looking for, right? It's a stone furnace. It's got a crafting speed of 1. It's got health. It produces 2 pollution per minute. It can have a stack size of 50 in your pocket. And in the rockets, which is something that you're not going to worry about right now, very, very close, it can carry 50, right? These are the types of fuel it can take, where you can put it on. This matters more when you start moving outside of the base planet of Novice, which, again, depending on what you decided to do, you might not be even worried about, right? So if you just picked up the base game, you're not going to have Space Age, so that doesn't as much matter to you. I need to start by making some more burners. There you go. Burner miners. Oops. So trees are both your enemy and your friend. Did I make another chest? I thought I did. I guess I used it. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and dump that in there. So another thing, if you want to know a little quick. So if you have the item in your hand and you hit X, it'll drop 1. If you're mousing over an entity, it'll drop it into the entity if the entity can take it. If you want to pick up something off the ground, hold F, walk over it, it'll pick it up. If you want to add a stack, you hold Control and then you click left click, and that's going to add a stack. If you want to have half a stack, you do Control right click, and that'll do half a stack. We got stone being mined. That will hopefully be enough to make more of these burner miners. This is. Some people will make a system where they add a assembly machine and just assemble the stone directly into what they need. I don't do that because it doesn't take very long to assemble this, and then I can use the stone for something else if I need to. All right, I'm gonna do that. Do this. All right, and then I'm gonna queue, since we have a decent amount of materials, I'm gonna queue some of these gears, and I'm going to queue a couple of these electronic circuits. Because they're just eating me areas, so I'm going to need a bunch of places. And then I'm also going to queue some power poles. Because again, we're going to need it very, very soon. Okay. We'll let that do its thing. Well, let's do its thing. Let's check our pollution. So if you hit M, that's going to bring up your map, obviously. If you can't see this red cloud, either you're not running a factory or you got this little item here all the way to the right. The little pollution button turned off. Right, so you can turn that on. You can also turn on a bunch of other things that you're not going to see right now. And I'll show you those as time goes on. I guess I'm turning this into a semi-educational series. Okay. All right, I want to move out of doing this by hand and into automating. Part of the way we're going to do that is electric mining drills, which we don't have yet, but we can start preparing for them. And the way we're going to prepare for them is by extending power down here. That's one. Dump another little bit of there. And then do I have... Yeah, let's actually do that now. A lot of the stuff in this game is going to be ratio based, especially if you played something like Satisfactory. You're going to know that instinctively. I didn't mean to take all those gears. You're going to know that instinctively, right? That certain things work on certain ratios. That is also the same in Factorio. Okay? So right here, if you look, a burner mine or a boiler, I'm going to alt left click on it just so we can see it real quick. So it consumes 6 units of water per second. Is it as much of a problem for us? It doesn't make it much of a difference. It'll consume 1.8 megawatts of fuel. Again, we're just feeding it coal, so doesn't much matter. It produces 60 units of steam per second. Now you're going to notice that there's a little diamond here. This is for, if you have Space Age, there's a quality mod where you can make different quality objects as time goes on. And that will alter how much that consumes, or how much that outputs, sorry. So a legendary boiler will produce 150 units of steam per second. And it will consume 15 units of water per second. Doesn't much matter to us. We're not going to be touching quality anytime soon, but that way you know what the diamond is for, okay? Using that Factorio PDF alt left click, super, super useful. I'm pretty sure this is in base game. Again, construction surface doesn't matter unless you're in a different planet. But this is the output, right? So we output 60 per second. Now, when we alt left click on a engine, this consumes 30 per second, right? So if do the math, every second we're making 60. And able to supply, because 2 of these is going to be 60. You can supply 2 steam engines, 2 steam engines per second. Important to note, this is going to burn fuel as fast as it needs to fill whatever it's attached to, right? To fill this steam box that is on the right, which I cannot show you because I can't click and show you at the same time, unfortunately. But if you look at the right-hand side, you see how it says steam 200 out of 200. It's also telling you how much steam is being consumed. We're consuming 2.3 per second. So obviously, this is just not going to burn that much fuel because it's completely saturated the storage, quote unquote, of these 2 machines. Now, another thing to note, if you click on your power poles, it's going to give you a bit of a graph. Right now, we are fully satisfied. And then we are producing 141 kilowatts of 1.8 megawatts. So what that tells us is, so long as these guys are being fed 100%, we can produce 1.8 megawatts of power with just this setup. That might sound like a lot. It's not. You'll see very, very soon. Okay. But this production means that we are not using any of our production right now, right? We're using a very tiny amount of our production. So we're good. Right now we have all of this spare power to spare. Now, That changes once we have way too many machines. This production will be fully pegged, and then you're going to start to see satisfaction go down, meaning we're not satisfying all our need for power. Right now, we're good. Our need for power, 141 kilowatts. And this will fluctuate up and down based on what is actually being used. And you're going to notice, so our lab consumes 60 kilowatts. Our assembly machines right now are producing 80 kilowatts. And then our 2 inserters, they consume actually much more than that. But they're telling you, because that is being used, that amount is spiking and then dropping. And that's something that's important to note for later. So this automation's here. I want to stretch my power poles down. I'm going to keep making more power poles. And then we had something finish, which was the logistics. Right? And that's going to give us underground belts and splitters. But I want to take my power, go down here with it. I'll be closer to my mine. This is run. That's what this icon means. It's run out of minerals. In this case, iron. I'm going to do that. And then we have a decent amount of coal. So I'm going to go ahead and just add half a stack to each of these machines. And here, because we've backed up the inputs, this is all but frozen. But we can do this. All the inputs are empty. There's still some fuel left, so it's going to continue. It's very rare for you to somehow completely turn this off, so I wouldn't worry about it too much. Now, these guys, I don't want to be coming back to as much because I don't need as much copper right now. Hey, look, we've consumed that as well. Go ahead and move that here. Honestly, I probably should have set this up differently, but, you know, here we are. And then I did grab some raw iron ore by accident by doing that. I'm going to go ahead and do that. Just dump it in there. Okay. Again, go ahead and do that. Okay. So we have our power here. So and I want to automate some stuff. We're going to go ahead and grab, we do have electric miners finally. But what I want to automate is some of our raw materials. So here, here, I want to automate some gears. Here, I'm going to automate some of the copper cable. And here, where I don't have power yet, I'm going to automate some of the electronic circuits. Don't have enough, right? But remember, I can make one of these guys, right? And put it right here. Boom. Now that's technically automated. And if I hold control and hit left click and then move my mouse across, I'll pick stuff up. And that's the same thing. That's something I just realized. That's the same thing we can do here, right? We don't have to click and then hit this thing to take the plates out. We don't have to do that. You hold left control, you hold left mouse over, it's going to take stuff out. Now you got to be careful because if you do that over the burner miners, you're going to take their coal supplies out. So see how this one has no more coal supply? We don't want to do that. You can take, I think, half stacks too, if you really, really want to, by using control right click and mousing, but that's less useful. All right. So this is kind of a semi-automation, right? We're going to be putting plate in here. We're going to be putting copper plate in here. And then we're getting a little bit of electronic circuits. And then we're mousing over and it's being made. We're going to further automate that in a second. Now, I did have military science complete. That's important because that gives us access to some more stuff. Now, I do want to make gun turrets so that we can start putting some defenses up because we do have biters very, very close. That's what these red biters are. Those are our enemies. And before they actively decide to go and kill us, I want to be ready for them. And the way they actively decide is when this red cloud hits them, it triggers their response. And now they don't want you near them anymore. And you get an achievement the first time you make that happen. Okay. So I asked for military because it gives me the submachine gun, which is infinitely better than the pistol. And it gives me the shotgun, which is very, very good against structures. So I'm going to build those two weapons. And we are going to now start to set up my hot bars down here. things that I want in my hotbar are, I want to have down here, I want to have my transport belts, one of the most useful things you're going to be using. I want to have my splitters, and I want to have my underground belts. Then right here, I'm going to put my standard inserters and my long-handed inserters. Your burner inserters are going to be something that you're really not going to use that much of. They directly take coal. They use 4 megawatts, or sorry, they use 1.44 kilowatts of coal to move stuff, but they're very slow. Their rotation speed is 281 degrees per second. Whereas if you look at the electric miners, it's 302 per second, and they use directly electricity. They might say, oh, but they use more power. They do use more power. Actually, no, they don't use more power. That's fake. That's fake news. Fake news. 15 kilowatts, 144 kilowatts. And then they're also producing pollution because they're burning to make power, right? So you definitely don't want to use these except in very, very specific circumstances. But I'm going to go ahead and move these guys out of there because they're not producing. Oh, what am I doing? No, we're going to do it that way. I'm committing. I am committing. I hate my existence for doing this, but I'm committing. All right. I'm going to come grab some coal. I need to go grab some stone. I already have gun turrets unlocked. So gun turrets are just basically an automatic way of defending yourself. All right. Now, I have this pistol. I don't want this pistol. I don't want it. So I'm going to just chuck it in the ground by hitting Z. There you go. Pistol on the ground. Now we're going to put my SMG here. And the way that you cycle, my mouse by here, I'm back here by the bottom left. The way you cycle your weapons is you hit tab. I can't do that right now because I don't have any shotgun ammo. Let's make some shotgun ammo real quick. Okay. Now when I hit tab, it'll cycle between the weapons. And the way you shoot at things is by holding space to target enemies and by holding C to target non-enemy entity, or basically entity. All right. Let's make some more of these guys. I don't need any more. I actually kind of do. Don't have enough. Okay. All right. All right, let's end this. Let's end this. We're going to go ahead and make some transport belt real quick. One splitter, one of those. Let's make some of these. Why am I doing this? Just out of habit. We're going to make some of these, some of these. Then we're going to put my power poles down here. And like I said, we're going to automate this just a little bit more. 3. Then we're going to let that all go by while I start getting... I need to do need to give some electric miners. Get this queued up. Since I haven't... So it's another thing when you're building stuff in this game. For example, let's say you're making a burner inserter. The burner inserter needs iron plate, it needs iron gears. Obviously, we can't make iron plate by hand, right? It needs to be smelted. But once you have it in your inventory, you can make iron gear wheels. But you do not need, excuse me, you don't need to make this first and then make this. So long as you click on it, it'll queue. We have a decent amount of gear wheels, so it's not going to show. But it'll queue the ingredients it needs automatically. Obviously, that takes longer. But, you know, it can be done. Now, done this, we're going to start on our coal first. And the other thing that I want to automate, which I forgot to do, I want to automate our belts. So belts are something we're going to use a lot of. And because we use a lot of it, I want to make sure that I automate its production. I'm gonna need more of these inserters. Yeah, see? So here it queued up the intermediary product of electronic circuits because I didn't have enough. Right. Tab that in there. Tab that in there. Tab that in there. This is gonna make more gears. Going to put that there. Put that there. All right. So there, 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 and there. Okay. And then we're going to do this. Grab some more plate. And plate's fine, technically. All right, there we go. And now we're semi-automated, right? In the other box. Now, you normally don't want to be making boxes constantly. It's not the most effective, especially wooden boxes. Not the most effective setup there, right? This is not the best automation, but it works. I need radars, which now are recycled. They're not part of the initial military queue, which is kind of weird to me. I'm going to drop some more copper plate in there. But now we got gears automated. We're getting our transport belts automated. We're getting electronic circuits automated. Let's grab some more of this raw material. Cool. Right. Now, let's worry about this. And actually, we are going to do another automation here. And that's going to be with firearm magazines. Wait, that was wrong. It needs to be this way, this way. There we go. Because I'm going to need some ammo very, very soon. I'm going to go ahead and automate a gun turret. Okay, and then we're going to take power from here. And let's go down to our colas. Now, you might notice that I'm able to grab things very quickly. And the reason I'm able to grab things very quickly is because I use the picker tool. The picker tool is under Q as a base. And if you mouse over something and you hit Q or the picker, it's going to try to duplicate that item in your hand, right? So there's power pulse, right? I didn't have to click down here to get it. I didn't have to open my inventory to get it, right? I didn't have to do any of that. I just hit Q, boom, it picks it. Now, if you hold Q over a mining patch, it's going to give you the best drill that you have in your inventory, in which case it's an electric drill. Go ahead, we'll do this. Okay. Those are all powered. We're going to put a belt in between them. And then boom. Now, rather than burning coal directly, we are burning electricity to mine. And as soon as that comes out, it's going to go on the belt. And then we're going to take that belt and we're going to move it this way. And go this way. And this is why I said you're going to be making a lot of belts. It's good to automate it quickly, because you're going to need a lot of belt. I'm also very close to the point where I don't need to be just doing individual stacks. I can just go straight up whole stack. There we go. And by the way, this hotbar down here does work on numbers. So when I hit 1, I still get that. When I hit 2, I still get that. When I hit 3, I get my underground. And if you want to be able to, for example, let's say, I want to hit what's on the second bar. If you hit X, it switches it. And I just realized, I don't know if I told you Z or X for dropping stuff, but it's Z or Z. All right. Now, why do I want this up here? Because I want to automate our power into our coal power plant. All right. So I got radar tech. Honestly, that's almost everything that I want to have. So we're going to go ahead and disassemble this right here. Don't need to have that up there. I'm going to put a radar up here. And what the radar is going to do is going to do two things. is going to, you notice the coverage here is much bigger now. So let's let that fade away. I can't see this right here. It's not the fog of war, but it is kind of right. I can't actively see what's happening outside of this area. See that? I just get a representation. I've been there. I've explored it. This is the last known information that you have in the covered area that you cannot see. Radar has a much bigger coverage. So when I take a radar and I put that down, if you look at my mini map, it grows bigger. Right? And now I can see all of this actively because the radar is giving me that coverage. But radar is going to do something else as well. We can't see it yet because it just hasn't cycled it. But if it's big enough or if it's close enough to this dark area of the map, it's going to start exploring that periodically. Right? And that's very, very helpful because it tells me where things are. All right. So now how are we doing on power? We're doing great on power. I'm going to take this box out of here. The reason I'm taking that box out of there is because I'm going to be doing this with belt. Now, rather than storing it in a box, I just bring belt over here and I'm just holding left click and going. And something that you'll note is even if I go up and down, I'm not going to change where the belt is going. Even if I'm building actively, right? It has to go right. If I do want to change where the belt is going, I can hit R and that'll make it go down. Make it go the direction I'm aiming, right? Yeah. And then there. And now our power is technically fully automated. You just noticed this. We're probably going to lose power if I'm not careful. Now, I did make a burner inserter here, and I'm going to keep it as a burner inserter. And while I'm talking, I'm going to go ahead and craft my next set of energy production. And the reason I did that is because there's something in this game, or actually it's common in more than just this game, called a feedback loop, right? And that is, as you start to lose power, you start to encounter a situation where your machines are, rather than stopping, they're going to slow down, right? They're still going to produce, but they're going to produce slower. What ends up happening is with my drills, which we can't see them right now, it's going to slow those down. So we're going to get less material on here, but it's also going to slow something else down. And that is our inserters, our electric inserters, right? These inserters, they will start to slow down. Why does that matter? Well, because now we are slowing down the amount of coal that we are putting into our boilers. That's going to cause a slower production of steam, which is going to produce less power, which is going to, in turn, slow down our inserter, which is, and there's that feedback loop, right? So a lot of times, what a lot of people tend to do is, for this kind of setup, we just use burner inserters. Why? Because so long as there is coal in this system, the burner inserter is going to work at its full speed. It will never hit a feedback loop, right? The only feedback loop now that you'll have here is if your power starts to slow down, your mining drills start to slow down, and then you can feedback loop that way. But that's harder to do because you have this ginormous buffer of coal that you're going to notice when it starts to empty out. If you start to notice that this is emptying out, you need to produce more coal, right? Coal is one of those lines and one of those things that you do want to actively buffer in belts, because if you're losing some, then you know you need to produce more because now your power is going to die. And that's, of course, exclusively talking about coal as a power source. When you start using other things as a power source, that changes. Okay. Go ahead and completely fill up these guys by using Control left click. I'm going to do the same thing down here. You're going to notice I opened my inventory to grab something when I had it in the hotbar. It doesn't make a difference. Whatever works for you. I still do that. But grab that, go over that. What are we missing? We're missing more iron plate. That's why iron plate is so important early on. So let's do 1 and 2. We'll do 1 here. This is still fine. We do have the situation that there's no copper in here, so we're going to go ahead and make copper. All right. But now I do have a lot of ammo, and since I produced some of these gun turrets, important to note, the gun turrets use the same type of ammo that our guns use. Same stuff. Okay? But gun turrets are going to be more efficient than the SMG that we have. So let's go ahead and left click. So our SMG is going to produce 18 points of damage per bullet, and it's going to shoot 10 bullets a second. If we go down to the gun turret, we're producing 18 points of damage every 10 seconds. But if I remember correctly, its consumption of the magazines is lower. Is that what it is? Or did they change? I just realized something. 10 a second. Stack size 5, rock capacity. Did they change this? I'm going to tell you guys this right now. This might have been changed for space age. And now they don't have a benefit? Huh. I'm actually not sure. 5 physical. I could have sworn that there was a... maybe they changed that for space age, or maybe I'm looking at something incorrectly. And I guess we can do this. Shooting speed 10. Damage don't. It has no ammo, so sometimes that might make a difference too. I think maybe it's more efficient with its consumption of magazines. Is that what it is? I know there's something. I've forgotten. Magazine size 10. Well, I'm going to be honest with you guys. I have forgotten exactly what the benefit is. Besides the fact that it's fully automated, you don't have to pay attention to it. That's automatically a benefit. I'm going to put a radar here. It's going to uncover more stuff. Sneaky little worm down there. Okay. Apparently. Okay. Grab some more coal. Now that we have our power automated, let's move on to the next automation we're going to do, which is going to be our iron. Let's do it closer. Here, let's do it here. Power poles. Something you're going to notice, right? When I'm mousing, there's a square around my power pole. That's what machines, as long as a machine is within that square, it's going to power them. Right? And of course, as long as it's connected to a power source, like our power plant up here. Right? So now that it's drilling as well. All right, and then we're going to go ahead and make... I need to go put some coal in that over there. And start producing some stone furnaces. I don't want to have too much stone on me because it clogs my inventory. I will need to get more wood. Okay. To make more power poles. You have nearly 100 power poles. It's not enough. It's just not enough. All right, so we got that automated. We know how to automate our smelting process so that we don't have to continue doing this anymore. All right. I'm gonna grab some of those copper cables. Oh, yeah, we're missing a plate here. But yeah, these are been producing all this time. This is stuff that I don't have to stop and produce myself. Right? That's why those are good to automate. Let's check our pollution really quick. It's getting very, very close to that base, right? Now, notice that before it was a perfect square. I've already done all of this with the radars. All of this has been explored. We now know there's more iron ore up here, right? And it's going to continue to explore past a certain point. And that's where radar is so important. And the way that the radar works is it picks a random location inside its general coverage, and then it'll scan it. And while it's scanning it, you can actively see what's there at that time. That's important to know, right? So right now it's scanning this. I can actively see this. And then once it's done its scan, boom, now I can't see it anymore. But I've uncovered this fog. Now I know what's past that area, okay? And radar is going to be something that are going to be very useful, especially if you do have space age, for managing your colony when you're outside of the planet you're in. Let's go ahead and, yeah, I think I'm going to do this. I'm going to go ahead up here. Now we're going to split, which is something we haven't done yet. We're going to split our coal line. And we're going to do something very important. And that is we're going to prioritize. So if we click on the splitter, it's got this little UI. And this little UI has input priority, output priority. I want to make sure that we are first worried about power before we are worried about anything else. Coal needs to go to power first, then everywhere else. Why? Because if we run out of power, doesn't matter. Anything else, everything else will not work, right? We're not going to be able to use it. So we're going to output priority to the left. That means that it's going to worry about filling this first before it puts coal out this way. Okay. All right. Now we have this. Here's where the next thing comes. We need to build a smelter stack. The smelter stack is basically just an area where we're going to have a lot of smelters. Yeah, it should be fine. We'll make it work. We'll make it work. Let's back this up. And there's a lot of ways of doing this, right? You could do a short inserter, grab material from here, and then a long inserter and grab material from out here. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do something a little different. And this is another trick that you can learn from this game. And that is something called side loading. Side loading, which actually that's the wrong side to side load on. But side loading is basically you attaching a belt to the side of another belt. It's going to fill one side of your belt. And that's useful in many situations. You go ahead and show. I'm going to go ahead and back this up because I did it on the wrong side. And we're going to output here. We're going to pull here. Here's my underground belts. My underground belts are currently pointing the wrong way. If I hit R, it'll rotate to the other way. Then I can add the belt. And now it's going to go underneath here, come out of here, and my inserter is going to grab from in here once it has power. Something I messed up was there, but that's fine. It's not a big deal. And then we're going to go ahead and side load our iron there. And I did that wrong again. I had it right the first time. See, I played this game for a long time, and I still make mistakes. All the damn time. And now I'm actually going to prep for when we do have another side by doing this. Inserters are going to put stuff on the outside of the belt. They'll pick up from the inside first, and they'll put stuff on the outside first. But important to note that. All right, we're going to put power here. And I'm going to go ahead and pull power directly from over here. That's fine. So now that's going to start putting stuff on the belt. It's putting it on the outside of the belt. Okay. Then we're going to take our inserter. We're going to put one here because it's powered. It's going to grab iron. It's going to put it in, and then it's going to grab coal. It's going to put it in. There you go. I don't have to worry about taking the copper, the ore from one place and then putting it into the smelter, taking the coal in one place, putting it into the smelter. Nope. I've automated my material. And then do this. Boom. Done the same thing here. Now, I'm going to show you a trick, right? We put this power pole here. This power pole is great because it's powering this. It's powering this. I'm actually going to leave it there. It's not the ideal setup. And because it's going to bother me, I'm going to make the ideal setup. or what I consider to be the ideal setup. Because if not, I'm going to go insane. Still going to do that. Let me get one of these. This is fine. Still have the capacity to do that. All right, there we go. That's technically more ideal. We're using this pole much more effectively. It doesn't really matter. But, you know, if I'm going to teach you how to do it, I should teach you how to do it, quote unquote, correctly. Now, I'm going to make more inserters real quick. Okay. Every one of these is going to need an inserter. All right. Go ahead and do this. Go ahead and do this. Oop. Go ahead and do this, right? I do this much faster normally, but just as a show and tell, right? Now, I can sit here and try to make every single one of them have the power pole exactly where it needs, or I can do the next best thing, which is if I hold left click over the old power pole, or I can just literally just put a power pole down and I keep holding it. I haven't let go. And then I just run. The game is automatically going to put power poles exactly where they need to be to power the structures that are there. I don't have to worry about individually placing power poles and worrying about whether or not they're touching what they need to be touching. Game will do that automatically for me. Now I have a fully automated stack. I can just literally run up and down this the same way I was doing before. All that good stuff. Now, we need an output, right? There's your output, but it needs power. Well, you can do the same thing, right? And as time goes on, you're going to learn how to build stacks faster because you kind of have a process going. And I'll show that process when I go to expand this stack a little bit more. Right now, not so important. One thing to do note is when we click on this, excuse me, I have a crafting speed of 1. If you click on, where is it? Is it any areas? Iron ore? I don't know if this shows you, but I think this does. So this crafting speed of 1 can craft iron plate. It'll take 1 iron ore, take 3.2 seconds to craft 1 iron plate. So there's math we can do. I don't remember. Do these have a math thing? Let me see. 32 divided by 2. It doesn't. Well, it's because my numlocks was turned off. Dum dum. Oh yeah, it doesn't. Actually, isn't there? Hold on. I want to remember this because it's been a while. And by the way, I'm bringing up that by hitting the tilde key. I could have sworn it could do math operations. Maybe it can't. Well, anyway. Basically, if you do the math, to fill up 1 of these transport belts, which can move 15 items a second, fill up 1 side, you need 24 of these guys. It's actually 23 in some, so you end up with 24. Just, you know, to make your life easier. So, how many do I have? I'm using my deconstruction planner. I have 10. Don't need another 14, so... you see now? 24. So technically, this is how long a stack needs to be to fully saturate, meaning fully fill up this yellow belt, which right now is not as relevant, right? Because we're still manually grabbing some of this material, but will be relevant later. What I am going to do, though, is I'm going to drop all this stuff in here, and then I'm going to take this coal, I'm going to drop it in there. There. And then that's going to smelt. I've gotten rid of a bunch of crap in my inventory. That's basically automated iron. All right, let's go ahead and I'm going to dump all of my plate in here. That might seem dumb, and it was, because I need more plate down here. Okay. Cool. We got plenty of gears. We got plenty of electronic circuits for right now. We got plenty of that. Now, I'm automated iron, so I'm no longer going to feed this. I'm going to leave it alone. But I have an automated copper, so I'm still going to feed this. Which I'll do by doing that. Now, another thing you can do if you need some material is, if you run up across the belt and you hold F, you'll pick up stuff too. All right. So what's next? Well, we got iron. That's awesome. I want copper. So we're going to do the same thing with copper. Copper needs less, so be careful. Now, something I hadn't mentioned because it hadn't come up yet and hadn't been important because of our patches being separate. These guys, when you go to look at these, their area of mining is directly underneath them. When you look at these miners, their area of mining is everything in the blue square. That's important, especially if you're next to another patch. Because if you look at the right-hand side where it says expected resources, it says 26,000 iron ore. If I mouse over here, now I get 17,000 copper ore and 726 iron ore. Now, that's an issue. If we want to make sure that we're making our belts one item belts. So how would you deal with the situation? Well, the best way to deal with the situation is to just keep your drill outside of an area where you can get multiple materials. That's not always viable, right? You're eventually going to want to use up all this material. So the other solution that you have is trying to balance it out and say, okay, well, I do have to touch that material. Let's touch as little as possible. It's going to give you more copper ore than it is going to give you coal. Oh, hold on. Let me check something. Okay, we're seeing some more. I'm not sure if this pollution is hitting the space, but I would assume so because it's being, you see how it kind of deleted and came back? So I want to assume that this pollution is hitting the space. So I'm going to do something really quick before we keep talking about that. Sorry. I'm going to come over here. I'm going to take this and put it right here. And then I'm going to add some magazines to it. And then I'm going to do the same closer to where I'm actually reducing pollution. One second. Okay. And then I'm going to do the same thing. Okay. So now they're armed. They can defend my stuff. Normally you want to have a pair. That way one turret can help defend another. But for right now, we're fine. Anyway, back to this. So we can just go ahead and say, hey, we'll just deal with it. We'll mine this. Every time we get coal, it's fine because it's going to end up in a smelter and it's going to, it's going to smelt it. It's going to use it. The problem that you can have is that you can have a situation where this can happen. You'll have copper, right? This is what you're actually smelting. This is what you want your system to pick up, right? Well, there's a problem. If your machine needs copper, but it's hard to explain. Your machine needs copper, but you have a bunch of coal in the way and it can't consume it. You're now at a deadlock. This will not move, right? Because it can't put into the machine coal because the machine doesn't need coal, it needs copper. So you want to avoid as much as possible having mixed lines where you have items, different items on the same side of the belt. Of course, this is not always true. There's something called the sushi line, which some people use to great effect. I'm not a sushi line man. I don't like sushi lines, so we're not going to do that. Well, what's the other option? Well, there is another option. And the other option is filtering out whatever stuff I'm taking in that I don't need. And the way we can do that is we can say, okay, we've got our copper flowing through here. We can take our splitter and say, hey, splitter, we're going to output priority to the left and we're going to filter the coal. And what that's going to do is any coal that ends up on this line will be filtered to the left side automatically. Now, obviously, if this line backs up and this backs up and all that's left is coal and it cannot be put into this line will back up. So what is the next thing that we want to do? Well, let's go ahead and bring this down here. Actually, let's make it further. We want to make sure we're able to empty out this line, so we can do this right here. And we say, hey, that's where your input priority comes in. I want you to prioritize inputting the right-hand side. So what it's going to do is any coal that falls in here, the moment that this line clears some space, it's going to eat it up immediately before this. That way you can never back this system up of coal, and it will always use your copper. Now you say, well, what happens if it backs up with copper? I'm not going to get the coal. Well, this isn't your primary source of coal. This is. So it doesn't really matter. I hadn't considered this. But I think that I'm going to do a weird kind of spaghettification here. And cut through this area. Get my copper up here. I probably should have gone this way. And it still might do that. But for right now, I'm going to leave it that way. That's fine. For now. We can fix it later. Okay. We got our copper. I'm going to do a very similar setup. Now I want to make sure that we have enough space for what we're going to do. So I'm going to rebuild this stack on this side so that I know how much space is going to consume. Okay, now I know that this is the amount of space. Now that was kind of tedious. It's going to suck if I have to do that all the time. Well, you don't. So I'm going to hold Control C for copy, or whatever your copy keys are in whatever platform you're using. I'm going to copy it. It's like, yeah, but that's not the right direction. Okay, that's fine. So hit, no, not V, T. Is it T? No, not T. Shit, I've forgotten. G? No. Shit, which one is it to rotate it? And not to rotate. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. I have a blueprint. You weren't supposed to see this yet. I've copied it once. I don't need to copy it again. If I hold Control V, it's going to come up. I could rotate it, but it's going to have obvious issues, right? So there's a key to flip the blueprint. This is flipping it vertically. The horizontal flip is, I've forgotten what the horizontal flip is. H? Yep. H. So V as in Victor for vertical and H for horizontal. You know, that makes a whole lot of sense. But I do this. Wait, no, did I not rotate it properly? There we go. And now I've put down a blueprint of where that would go. But I can use this further. I know where this is going to go. I can copy this and say, hey, I want the same exact system right next to it. Now I know what this is going to take, and I can use my Q key, my picker, right, to do that. Now, one thing I do want to do is get rid of that. I don't need that there, but my Q, okay, I want my inserters, good. I want my, you know, I want this, cool. Inserters again, boom. Very much a quicker setup. Blueprints are going to be used with a different automation later on. That's going to make things even better still. All right, let's go ahead and move our coal this way. Now this might seem like it's not going to work. It's because it's not. We need more underground belts. Now underground belts are very important for you to be careful with because they consume a lot of iron. They're very iron hungry, and they consume 5 transport belts to make 1 set of underground belts. They do come in pairs, so they make 2 every time, and that's because you want to have 1 and 2, right? But when you're putting this down, you notice there's like an attachment point, right? See? If you get too far, it's not going to connect. You want to try to use as much of this as possible and not be wasteful, because if not, you're literally wasting material that's not getting, you know, properly used. It turns green to let you know, hey, this is as far as it can go, right? And this one will take 4. I'm going to do this. I don't need this right here. I need an inserter. By the way, I haven't done that. And now, boom, offloading. Let's go ahead and bring our copper in. I'm going to do this while I'm here, because why not? I don't know why I'm doing it this way, but I'm doing it this way. We'll just go with it. Just go with it. Just go with it. It's fine. There we go. Now we have automated copper. which I'm going to go ahead and do this. Not that I'm filling that up anytime soon, but might as well. Now, this is not an ideal setup. You really don't want this the way that I've set it up, but for now, it'll be okay. All right, and then the way that I'm going to do this is like this. Normally I do it up and down, so this is throwing me off. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and take these out. I don't need these here. Remember the trick? Hold down and walk. And it's going to put power poles exactly where they need to be. Okay, what's our power doing? Fantastically. We're still doing great on power. All right, let's go ahead and grab some iron. Cool. All right. So we've automated 2 systems here. These have completely stopped. I'm going to go ahead and reclaim them. Do you have to do this now? But I'm going to do it anyway. Oh, I have too much stuff. Oh, no. Whatever shall I do? Nothing a simple dump can't fix. Here we made some space. We have a lot of iron, which is very good. Let's go down here to our automated area. Go ahead and, I don't know, let's do... Sure. It's the wrong one. That's why that's not working. In half. You need some plate too. I hate making a bunch of wooden boxes, but for the sake of showing. Boom. So long as I provide this with the raw materials, it'll continue to work. Okay. Where's our pollution at? That's definitely got to be hitting that. There's no way that's not. So we're going to go ahead and start prepping to go down there. I'm going to put some armor on. That's going to give me some resistance to, you know, it's going to protect me in a fight. And then I'm going to build another radar. And let's build 5 gun turrets. Gun turrets are expensive, so be careful. They're very, very, very expensive. They're 40 plates of iron and 10 plates of copper. They're very strong, but they can be very expensive if you're not extra careful. Right. Do that. Boom. Right. So let's go ahead and expand some of the stuff that we're going to need. We're going to need plenty of inserters. We're going to need some more underground belts, some more splitters. Might as well make the last of the power poles. Okay. And let that do its thing. And actually something that I'm going to do now, just because I think it's prudent. I don't know if this is going to matter or not, but I'm going to put a radar down here. I'm going to give it its own little turret for protection. There you go. Boom, done. That's going to be protected. It'll also give me some more radar coverage. Radars are very power hungry, so you do have to be careful, especially early on. They're 300 kilowatts each, and that's continuous. They never stop ever. But the other thing that's very power hungry early on is labs. These guys produce, actually, I guess they're expensive because you put down so many of them. And you'll see what I mean in a little bit. Okay. Right. So we're going to go ahead and finish building out our iron setup. Good. Again, we're gonna hold, walk. And then, of course, I don't want this to be all the way over there, so we're gonna put it right here. There. All right. I do want to start using this. All right. So go ahead and do this. I'm doing that correct, right? I'm not, my brain is not going crazy. Yes, okay. And I could do the run test or the run trick too. It's just sometimes it acts a little funky when you're doing it on the other side. All right, look at all the iron plate we got now. Look at that. Look at that. That's what I'm talking about right there. Okay, cool. Now let's use it. So we're going to go ahead and take this out here. Go this way. Ooh, look. It's gold rock. Cool. And the way we're going to use this is we're going to set up some automation over here. Some automation that I need to not worry about. It's a lot of automation, isn't it? And it's still not enough. So we're going to do very similar automation to what we were doing down there. We're going to build gears. We're going to build plates. Oh, sorry. Jesus. Belts. That's what I meant. We're going to build some... I'm not going to build pipe. I don't need pipe. Okay. You know what? I normally don't do this early on, but I am going to do that. Do this. And then this here will be that. And then let's go ahead and put power poles in between all this stuff. Go ahead and need this, need this, need this. This is going to be like that. Okay. Not as much. Don't care as much there. Okay. Cool. You will need this. And you will need this. Okay. By the way, this is all very dirty. This is not normally how I build. It's actually driving me insane that I'm building the way I'm building. But I don't, you know, can you recycle these? You can recycle these. Can you recycle these? Technically you can, yeah. All right, well. There's a lot of thought process behind what kind of, you know, chests should you be using and this and that and the other. I tend to use the wooden chest when I'm doing this kind of stuff for the simple fact that they're very cheap. Because they're what? Two pieces of wood. And then they're also very weak. So when I want to destroy them, because I don't have a stack of them, they're very cheap to destroy. That is until I get steel. Once I get steel, then this completely changes. Hit Alt by accident again. Okay. So we're having this situation here. That's going to work out. I'm going to double up on these guys. That way they can be a little bit quicker. But this is going to be very useful for the materials that we need. All right, let's go down here. Oh, we're starting to use up that iron already. We're going to have to expand the iron mine. So all this stuff, I'm not going to use it anymore. So we're going to go ahead and start disassembly. Usually it's best to disassemble from the inserters first. That way then it'll start dropping a bunch of crap all over your floor. Boom. Oh my goodness. I do need more of these guys. Okay. Coal is still good, so I'm going to leave that alone. You can walk on the belt to move faster. And then I'm going to show you a bit of a speedrunner's trick. This is actually going to be a problem here. So when the speedrunners build their iron or their mining patches, they do one side split and then the other side not. Although I did this one wrong. I should have done it this way. But bear with me for a second. Darn it. This is going to get in the way later, so I'm going to fix it now. Okay. There we go, it's fixed. What they do is they put the power poles here. Remember dragon input? And then on this side, they can just drag this side without having to worry about it. But this also serves when you do your next line of miners on this side, you already have power for them. Just a little bit of a speedrunner hack. The more. Okay. I could start working on these guys, but then I would need to put power up here. Fine. The best way to merge this is going to be with a splitter. And honestly, I want them to take this first, so I'm going to go ahead and input priority right. All right. I'm going to jump this in here. I'm going to dump this in here. Okay, cool. So we got some automation going. We're going to go ahead and take the copper up to our little creator up here. All right. And again, this is not ideal. I would never do this normally, but just to get us started. I'm going to go ahead and, nope, I need my long insert, or long, no, there you go. Once the copper reaches here, it's going to grab that, it's going to put it in here, and then we're going to start getting some production. Bam. Now, just so that we are using or making more this and this, I'm going to go ahead and limit that. So if you click here, you do this, it's going to only fill these 2 blocks. So it's one way to do that. And then I have too many of these now. There we go. I don't have as much plate. And now we're producing. Boom. So as far as I know, it's going to alternate. So it'll go 1 and 1, if I remember correctly. So there you go. And actually, just to speed this up a little bit, I'm going to go ahead and do that. That'll make things just a little bit faster. So now we have some more automation here. We even have our inserters automated, which is fantastic. But yeah, it's a very, very, very quick and dirty setup. That's decently automated. We've already run out of materials here, so I'm going to go ahead and take that back. That way we can use it somewhere else. Yeah. There you go. Quick automation, right? So we are no longer having to grab raw materials anymore. Grab our coal. That ends up in our power plant, powering all our electric machines. We then feed it into our smelter stack, and we feed our smelter stack with our mining of this stuff, right? That's also being done, and then all that is ended up here, and that's being processed through as well. So, pretty cool. I just noticed. It's like a weird... Oh, that's cool. But yeah. I think that should be it for now. Should I go after these bases already? Well, the episode's an hour and a half long. Oh, we're going to leave them. I'll do that next time. But yeah, if you like this, you like the little semi-guided tutorial-ish Let's Play series that I'm doing, let me know. Just a comment, guys. Say hi. Two letters. Didn't take that much. Doing that alone already boosts things significantly. So, also this is bothering me, so I'm going to do that. Being very, very, very wasteful with that. Anyway, that'll be it for today. I'll see you all next time. Bye.